Hello, in this video class we are going to see module 5 of microcontroller and embedded system subject code is 18CS44. We have module 5 syllabus here. This is completely related to operating system, that is a real-time operating system, and IDE for embedded design. Now we have to refer textbook, that is Introduction to Embedded System by Shibu KV for these informations. In this mainly you have concept operating system. So what are the basics of operating system, that is the definition, and what are the main functions of operating system. We will see that the operating system act as a bridge between user application, that is also called task, and the underlying system resource through a set of system functionalities and service. So here it is a bridge between. Bridge means, you can see this diagram here. We have one diagram that this is one block. That block is called operating system, and we have another block here, user application. Another block is called hardware. Operating system act as a bridge between user application and hardware or system resource through a set of system functionalities or service. Here we have operating system that act as a bridge between user applications and hardware. Hardware is also called system resource. So it is a bridge between application and hardware. So that operating system blocks contain some of the service, that is called operating system services. So here it gives some service to the user also, it gives some service to the hardware also, that is a resource also. So user want to use hardware means that is through only operating system. So without operating system, that user can't take control, or he can't use that hardware. So mainly in between we have operating system. That operating system provides some control mechanism, also it provides some of the main services. So what are the services, what are the main functionalities, we will see that in the coming slides. Here between operating system and hardware we are using device drivers. Why? Because here hardware means it is a device. So device is controlled by device controller, and that device controller is controlled by device drivers. Device drivers means that is a software that is controlled by operating system. Here all user applications are controlled by API. API full form is application programming interface. So user applications are controlled by your operating system itself, so through API. But hardwares are controlled by operating system through device drivers. Now what are the primary functions of OS? Make the system convenient to use. So here user, here we have user, here hardware. So entire system we have to use conveniently, easily. For that purpose we are using operating system that will make use conveniently. Another one is organize and manage the system resource efficiently and correctly. So organize and manage resource means hardware, efficiently and correctly. In order to manage hardware properly we need operating system, otherwise it is misused by user. That's why in order to manage properly we need operating system. The kernel is the core of the embedded operating system. It is responsible for managing the system resource and the communication among hardware and the other system service. Here thing is, kernel is a heart of or core of your operating system, main thing, that is a heart, or you can call it as brain. So here it is responsible for managing the system resource and the communication among other hardware and user. There is a communication among hardware and user, that is by using operating system. Core of the operating system is kernel. So just we have name kernel. For general purpose OS, the kernel contains different service, like some of the service we have given by, for general purpose OS, the kernel contain different service. That means operating system services are, here we have, one is process management, one is memory management, then file system management and device management, secondary storage management, protection, time management, interrupt handling. These are the some of the main service provided by the operating system for other hardware or your user. So we will see that each services, but here operating system means we can call it as the kernel itself, because kernel is a core of the operating system. So operating system is a kernel itself. Okay, kernel means operating system. Now one of the another thing is kernel space and user space. What you mean by kernel and what do you mean by user? So kernel means operating system, user means we have another side. I will go to that previous slide again. Here we have user, here we have kernel. So here you can see kernel services, that is operating system services. Here we have hardware. So in between hardware and user we have operating system or kernel. So user and operating system, we have two space, user space and kernel space. What are the two spaces? The memory space at which the kernel code is located is known as kernel space. Kernel space means operating system space. The memory space at which the kernel code, that is the operating system related code, is present in that space, that is called kernel space. And what about user space? User related codes are there in the user space. All user applications are loaded to the specific area of the primary memory, and this memory area is referred to as user space. In the primary memory, we have related to user, what are the applications are there? All applications or programs are loaded in that particular space, that is called user space. But in the case of kernel, we have memory space which is stored all operating system related code or programs in that space, that is called kernel space. These are the two main difference. There is a difference between kernel space and user space. And we have another concept called monolithic kernel and microkernel. Monolithic kernel and microkernel means here you can see we have application here. That means this is your user space. We have monolithic kernel means this is your operating system. Okay, here we have user, here we have operating system, here we have hardware. So these three layers we have. Now monolithic kernel means what? So monolithic kernel with all operating system services running in the kernel space. What are the operating system service or kernel service are there, right? That all are running in kernel space, that means in this itself, that is called your monolithic kernel. Inside this operating system we have all the operating system related services. So that is called monolithic. But what about microkernel? We have here application, we have here OS, we have here hardware. Now microkernel means what? Name itself, micro means small. So microkernel with essential service like memory management, process management, time system, like this, etc. are here. That is all are essential. So very important service by the operating system are present in your kernel space, remaining is moved to user space. That is a not essential, that or it is not important, means that services are moved to another part, that is called kernel. Here we have user space, right? That user space we have that services. So here we have server, that kernel services are running in the user space. So in this monolithic kernel, all the services which are provided by the operating system we are going to place in kernel space, or here itself we are not moving to anywhere, just in the operating system we have that. But in the case of microkernel, we are moving some of the unimportant or non-important services to user space, and very important services only we are going to keep inside your operating system. That is called microkernel. Micro means size of the kernel space is small. Because why? Because we moved many of the services outside. That's why its size is small. That's why name it is microkernel. We are moving some of the services to user side. User will handle that. Okay. Now this is the main difference between monolithic and microkernel. Types of operating system. We have two types of operating systems are there. Operating system means it is a bridge between hardware and your user. So we have many services in the operating system, and core of the operating system is called kernel. Here operating system will handle your hardware, operating system handle user also. So in between we have operating system or kernel. So we have two types in that. One is general purpose and another one is a real time operating system. What do you mean by general purpose? We can use that OS for any purpose. Real time means we can use that only for real time purpose. Here general purpose, we are not going to concentrate anything about response time, but here response time is very important in the case of RTOS. So here we GPOS, that is a general purpose OS. We have one example called Windows XP, MS-DOS, whatever you are using in your computer or laptops, that's of real operating systems are coming under general purpose operating system. That is not time. So time is not much critical in this, but here time is very much critical. So time is very important, response is very important in the case of real time operating system. So some of the example operating systems are Windows CE, QNX, VxWorks, like this. Real time kernel. So in this embedded devices, we are mainly concentrating real time operating system. That real time operating systems are mainly important in the case of all embedded devices. So here real time kernel means kernel of real time operating system is referred as real time kernel. So what is the kernel in the RTOS? That is called real time kernel. So general purpose OS we are calling just that is a kernel, but in the case of real time operating system, that core of the real time operating system is called real time kernel. The basic functionalities of the real time kernels are process management, process scheduling, process synchronization, exception handling, memory management, interrupt handling, time management, etc. So these are the services provided by the real time kernel. We have seen in the previous slide operating system services like that. Real time operating system services are like this. So we will see that. First one, taskbar process management. So we can call it as task management or we can call it as process management. Normally in the operating system subject we have in this your department, that is we have process management. So how to manage your process. Process is a program under execution. When that job or program coming to CPU, that is called as process. How to manage that process, that is coming under process management. So it deals with setting up the memory space for the task, loading the task code into the memory space, allocating system resource, setting up a task control block for a task and task process termination. So how to terminate the process, how to start the process, And how to manage a process control block. Process control block contain lot of details related to process and allocating system resource for the particular process. If that process needs resource for execution purpose, so it gives that process management will supply or allocate resources. Loading the task code into the memory space. Memory is a primary memory. Loading means from secondary memory to primary memory, that code is loaded for execution purpose, because all CPU will take all data from primary memory itself. From the secondary memory, we have a lot of code. That code we are going to move into primary memory for execution. That complete thing is taken by process management. Setting up the memory space for the task. How to set the memory space for that particular task. Memory space in the means it is in primary memory. How to allocate memory for that particular process, that thing also handled by process management. So we have this much thing will in process management. But here we see in one thing, what is that? TCB, task control block, or it is also called process control block. What it mean? Process control block or task control block, it contains some of the informations. One is task or process ID, process state, process type, process priority or task priority, task context pointer, task memory pointer, task system resource pointer, task pointer. Like this, we have those some of the informations related to your process or task is present in your task control block, including the name and state, everything. Name means ID in terms of process ID or task ID, and what is the priority, what is the type, process type, everything detail is there in task control block. So that task control block setting is done by your process management. Second type is process scheduling. So this is very important in the case of operating system, how to schedule your process. Process scheduling is some of the algorithms are there for process scheduling. One is first come first serve, SJF, that is the shortest job first. Then we have priority algorithms, round robin algorithms, that all are process scheduling algorithm. So the process scheduling, we have actually two types. One is short term and one is short term and long term. So short term process means it is a CPU scheduling, and long term scheduling means it is a job scheduling. So job scheduling means it is from secondary memory to primary memory, and short term scheduling means from primary memory to CPU. So here it deals with the sharing the CPU among various process. So how to share CPU with the various process? So that is called process scheduling. A kernel application called scheduler we handles the task scheduling. Scheduler we have two types I told, long term and short term. Scheduler is nothing but an algorithm implementation which performs the efficient and optimal scheduling of tasks to provide a deterministic behavior. So this is your scheduler. Okay, meaning of scheduler is it performs the efficient and optimal scheduling of the process or task to provide deterministic behavior, real-time operation purpose. It provide particularly scheduling operation by scheduler. Next one is a process synchronization. It deals with the synchronizing the concurrent access of a resource which is shared across multiple tasks and the communication between various tasks. So there is a process synchronization problem is there is a classical problem, and we need semaphores for that. Some of the classical problems of synchronization, that all thing related to operating system subject. Here it deals with the, what is that process synchronization means? It deals synchronizing. So there is a two types of process actually, cooperating process and independent process. There is a cooperating process means there is a cooperation required between that process. So how that two processes are mutually understanding each other, that thing we can see in the process synchronization. Synchronization of concurrent access of resource. That means if the two process, if consider P1 and P2 are the two process, and both process are trying to access one resource, so how that is that possible to access one resource? No, that is not possible. So both process should access the different, but they are fighting for only one process or one resource. So how that resource allocated to that particular process? So we have two process but one resource. How to allocate that? For that, process synchronization concept is required, which is shared across multiple tasks and communication between various tasks, that is a various process. Here communication between two process or three process or 100 process is required to access a one resource. So if after communication itself that particular process is accessed by some process, sorry, particular resource is accessed by some process. So this type of concept we are going to see in process synchronization. Now error bar exception handling. So here exception means it is a like interrupt concept. Then it deals with registering and handling the errors occurred, exceptions raised during the execution of task. Insufficient memory, timeout, deadlock, deadline missing, bus error, divide by error, unknown instruction execution are the some of the errors or exceptions. So here exception means it is a error. You can call it as error handling or exception handling. So what are the different types of error which is arised by that particular task? We can get this many type of etc. They given etc. That means still we have a lot more. So how to handle that errors? If you got that particular error while executing that process, how to handle that? That concept we are going to see in exception handling. So error exception can happen at kernel level, service, or at task level. Either it happen in user level or kernel level. So user level means we already seen the previous slides what is the user level and what is the kernel level. Kernel level we have operating system. User level is a completely application of the user. So process it is handled by kernel level service or task level. That means two types of error we are going to get. Deadlock is example for kernel level exception. That means in operating system level, OS level, that is a deadlock. Whereas timeout is example for process exception. Process exception means that is a user side. Okay, so that is your timeout error. So these are the some of the concept related to exception handling. Now we are going to memory management. Memory management function of an RTOS kernel is slightly different compared to general purpose OS. You know this we have two types of OS. One is a GPOS, one is a RTOS. Concept of memory management in GPOS is different. Concept of memory management in RTOS is different. So what is their RTOS? RTOS concept in this memory manage concept in the RTOS is generally uses block based memory allocation technique. So we are using block based memory, that block wise we are going to give that thing to process or to save anything. So we are giving blocks. So that concept is there in RTOS. But instead of that in your GPOS we are using dynamic memory allocation. So dynamic memory allocation part we are using in GPOS, but here block allocation part we are using in RTOS. That is the difference, different type of memory management techniques. Most of the RTOS kernel allow task to access any of the memory blocks without any memory protection to achieve predictable timing and avoid the timing overhead. So here most of the RTOS kernel allow task to access any of the memory blocks. Okay, so here mainly memory management will completely says about memory, that is how you are how memory is allocated in the case of RTOS, how memory allocated in the case of general purpose OS, how memory will protected, that means anything you saved in your memory, the memory protection is required, how it is achieved, everything in terms of timing, in terms that means access timing, everything is managed by your memory management concept. Now we have interrupt handling. So we have actually two types of interrupt handling method. One is synchronous, asynchronous. We will see that. So how interrupt concept is handled. Okay, interrupt informs the processor. Processor means the CPU. Interrupt inform the CPU that an external device or associated task require immediate attention of the CPU. We are using, if you are using device, then there is a concept of external device. Sometimes we are not using device, only there is a execution in the CPU only. Some process or task needs a resource or device or hardware for execution, then only this external hardware concept will come into picture. Then process that an external device or an associated task require immediate attention. This is your interrupt handling. Interrupt means what? There is a immediate attention. So from CPU. Okay, in this case from CPU. So interrupt can either, there is a two types here, one is synchronous, one is asynchronous. Interrupt which occur in sync with, that is a synchronous. Synchronous means sync. Interrupt which occur in sync with the currently executing task, that is called as synchronous. So interrupt is parallelly with this executing task, then that is called synchronous. It is not in parallel with the executing task, then it is called asynchronous. So here asynchronous interrupt are interrupts which occur at any point of execution of any task. There is no particular time, the sync is not required. Okay, that is called asynchronous. Are not sync with the currently executing task. There is no requirement of sync with the executing task. It can happen in any time, anywhere, any process. But here only there which process is executing, there we need interrupt. So that is called synchronous interrupt. So some of the example of synchronous interrupts are given here. Divide by zero, memory segmentation error are some of the examples of synchronous interrupt. Now primary level can be assigned to the interrupt, and each interrupt can be enabled or disabled individually. So there is a chance that means that there is a control of interrupt handling is there. So how to control that? Here either enabling the interrupt or disabling the interrupt, that control is given to interrupt handling. So we can give in terms of priority also. So for some interrupt we are going to give some higher priority, because that is immediately required for the CPU, means we are giving higher priority for that particular interrupt. That priority assign, what is here, priority level can be assigned also. And another thing is how interrupt is enabled and how interrupt is disabled, that thing also managed by interrupt handling. Now we have another one, time management. Time management means accurate time management is essential for providing precious time reference for all the application. Many application or in terms of process also, if you are going for process, that is many process needs time management. That is a proper time management, exact time management is needed. So how it is performed, that we can see in the time management concept. The time reference to kernel is provided by the high resolution real time clock. You know about real time clock in the previous modules. So it is a hardware timer actually. So real time clock is which take care about time. So date, time, month and minute, second, everything is loaded in your real time clock, and there we don't need any battery also. So backup is there, so automatically it will save your time. The hardware timer is programmed to interrupt the processor controller at fixed rate. This timer interrupt is referred to as timer tick. So there is a hardware timer, that means we have a real time clock, that is a hardware timer here, is programmed to interrupt the processor controller at fixed rate. So we are going to program this, we are going to use this hardware timer, that is a real time clock, and we are going to load some particular program inside real time clock. By that it will generate, that means that after that particular time, that system will generate one interrupt. So how to generate interrupt? That means after that particular time itself we need interrupt, means we can do that by using time management. So that procedure is called a timer tick. So here I will read it again. Hardware timer, that means in real time clock, is programmed manually to interrupt the processor, that means CPU. In order to interrupt the CPU, we are going to program that hardware timer at fixed rate. That means in particular after 3 seconds we need interrupt, after 6 seconds we need interrupt, like that we are going to set. This timer interrupt is called timer tick. So we have lot of methods, because we need this thing in embedded device. If there is any hang up occur, or if there is any problem occur, suddenly we need to reset your device, we need interrupt concept. So at that time we are using this timer, so in order to reset your entire device. So this here, whatever procedure we have, that is called timer tick. So we are going to fix the timer to produce interrupt, that is called timer tick. The timer tick is taken as a timing reference by the kernel. The timer tick interval may vary depending on the hardware timer, which type of hardware we are using. Depending on that, timer tick will change. Usually the timer tick varies in the microsecond, very small range. Microsecond means very small range. There we have that changes. The time tick interrupt is handled by timer interrupt handler of kernel. So timer tick concept is completely handled by kernel, that is operating system itself. So anyway, you know, time management is coming under operating system services itself. So like this we have some of the operating system service. Now let us go for real time system. What do you mean by real time system? So what are the different types here? We have two types of the real time. So real time system we seen in the previous slide. So what are the two different types in the real time system? One is a hard real time and soft real time. What do you mean by hard real time? So hard real time means that timing is very important in the case of hard. That means response time should be proper, it should not miss any deadlines. So that concept we need in the hardware, but hard real time. But in the soft real time, that if that deadline or that timing is missed 1 or 2 minutes or seconds, that won't happen to any damage or loss of the device. So it will manage without any problem. So that is called soft. But hard means missing deadline will lead to many problems. So that concept we will see here. A hard real time system must meet the deadlines for the task without any slippage. So here very important deadlines are there. Missing any deadline may produce some bad results. Okay, some bad result for hard real time system, including permanent data loss. There is a chance of data loss. If that missing the deadline, there is a chance of permanent data loss and irrecoverable damage. We can't recover that particular data once it is damaged to the system. There is a chance is there. So we have to take care about hard real time. Airbag system, you know, one of the example we discussed about this in the previous video lectures. Airbag control system and anti-lock brake system, ABS, of vehicle are the typical example of the hard real time system. Hard means, see, ABS is a very good example. Airbag system, that is also very good example how it works. Airbag, so in the particular time, that means if that accident happened, So either we have sensor will detect that and automatically send, immediately it will send a response to the controller will control, or airbag controller is there, that will control your airbag, and suddenly airbag should open. So here you can understand how much the time is how much important. That is if that missing deadline is consider with that will take nearly 5 seconds, that will take nearly 10 seconds to open one airbag. So that may lead to some of the human loss also. So very here deadline is very important, that is a response time is very important in the case of hard real time. But in the another soft real time, there if that missing deadline will not do anything to particular system, because that will manage. Real time operating system that does not guarantee meeting the deadline, does not guarantee, that means that will meet deadline, but at that particular time we don't know, so that may change, but offers the best effort. There is a effort to meet deadline, effort is there, so deadline it will complete, but we don't know at that particular time it will complete or not. Missing deadline for the task are acceptable if the frequency of deadline missing is within the complaints limit of the quality of service, QoS, quality of service, QoS short form. So here missing deadline will not harm any system. Okay, we can go for one of the example like ATEM. So is the typical example for soft real-time system. If the ATM takes a few seconds more than the ideal operation time, nothing happen. Okay, sometimes ATM will take 2-3 minutes late also, 2-3 seconds also late. That will not harm your human loss or harm device also, just that will give cash after 2 seconds, only that much thing is there. But in the previous case, that is a hard, if that missing the deadline, entire system will loss, either human loss or damage of the device, or a car, or in terms of car there is a device damage also. Okay, so these are the things related to kernel operating systems. In the next video lecture we are going to see continuation of this. Thank you.